On this episode of the Black Boss Ladies platform,
I saw myself as being, I didn't even know what a CFO did back in the day. But I was like, oh, I like that title. I'm going to be the CFO. and I learned some of the things they did. And I applied for a few jobs as CFO, but I wasn't ready.
sometimes I feel like you have to fully fill up a space before you can go to the next space.
That's a word. You just breathe.
I know, right? Because it's one thing to consciously know that, like, okay, struggle makes you better. It's another thing to remember when you're struggling. Right? You're like,
Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform, the place where legacies live.
Welcome to the Black Boss Ladies platform. I'm Julia Myers.
And I am Tiffany Lee. And today we are going to be interviewing Adriann Adams-Gulley. So here's the thing. When you join a sorority, right, we always think about the founders being great. But one of the good things about being in a sorority is that you sit in the room with great women every day, okay? So I was sitting in the room with this great woman, Adriann Adams-Gulley, who is my soror and East St. Louis native and of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. And she is the Vice President and CFO of Parents as Teachers National Organization. So welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming
here.
I'm so excited to interview you today. So I was taking a look at your resume before you got here.
Okay.
And you have a very extensive background, very impressive. I just want to know, what defines success for you? What would be your definition?
I would say success is being able to reach back and help people come along. I think that's when you know that you've made a difference in somebody's life, when you know that you have helped someone along, to me, that's success.
And that's a common thing here with people we bring on the show. Mm-hmm. That's usually their definition of success, being able to help and give back, which I always say success leaves clues. And the more you watch our interviews and hear the great women speak, they kind of have the same language pattern. And one of those is being able to help and give back to people, which is what our platform is all about. So let's jump into here, because you didn't wake up the CFO.
No. No.
There was a journey to get there, right?
Oh, yes, God.
Yeah. So can you take us to the beginning, beginning of time?
So my pastor, dearly beloved pastor, he's deceased, Reverend Frederick Wilson Sr., was a board member.
Pastor appreciate.
Yeah. I grew up at Friendship. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
So,
we did too.
He was my pastor, and he was a board member for East St. Louis School District 189. So they created a job for me because of my pastor. So he got the job for me, but my mindset was I got to keep the job. So I learned everything I possibly could, excuse me, so that I could be better.
What job was this?
Grants accountant.
Right. So this
wait, junior accountant.
Junior accountant.
Junior accountant with East St. Louis School District.
So this is after college.
Right.
Yeah, that was my first job.
Okay. And your bachelor's is in what?
Finance.
Okay. So you had to have the bachelor's in finance.
I had to have the bachelor's in finance.
Okay.
Yes.
He opened a door for you.
He opened a big door.
A big door.
And my mindset always was, I have to work. Mm-hmm. I would hear my grandmother in the back of my mind, the early bird gets the worm. Mm-hmm. So I would get up early, be at work, do what I needed to do so I could be successful. And I didn't, I wanted to be an accountant because of a cousin. Mm-hmm. She did some taxes for a family member. And I was like, oh, that's all numbers. I like that.
Oh,
and so
numbers.
Yeah, I'm a numbers girl. So that was
always
my groove.
Like to say you guys are very interesting. I've been in school of business, right? And you're required to take some finance classes. And I was like, I just need to get the ones to get out of here because I was a marketing major. the people, I just like, they're very interesting.
Yeah. And you have all kinds. I mean, you have some people who are on the introverted.
Mhm.
And I think I'm a extroverted introvert because
Okay.
I like my space, but I do well with people.
Yeah, and I think it's good that you acknowledge that too, because a lot of times people look at those scales and say, "Oh, I'm an introvert, so that means I can't do this, I can't do that." A lot of times, as time goes on, you move forward, you're able to go back and forth depending on the situation. Because I feel like I'm an introvert, but I'm always out in the community
Yeah.
doing things as well. But it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, it's a time where I need to cut off.
Yeah.
Okay, but you can do those
You
things
can.
even as
It's kind of knowing who you are at the core, what you prefer to do, but doesn't mean you can't do the other. Because I'm going to be on the other side. I'm going to be an extrovert, but I love like my own time too. I do that.
Mhm. You have to
Recharge.
Yeah.
Or be exhausted.
Yeah,
so.
stuff happens and you're like, ooh, wee Jesus.
Mhm.
I need a break.
Right. So you go into your first big girl job. You would say
Big
you're a
girl
junior
job.
accountant. You got in your mind the early bird gets the worm. What does that position look like?
So it was new, creative position. So whatever they had us do, we did. Threw stuff at me.
Mhm.
I learned how to do all kinds of things. There's one person, I reconciled her checkbook every month, her personal checkbook, because she would add instead of subtract.
Don't we all want that?
and I would be looking at it like, what the world? So I got good with, different aspects, reconciliations,
Yeah.
that big long green ledger. I was able to put things in, debits and
This
credits.
before Excel.
Well, Excel was there, but
Okay.
it wasn't prevalent.
Okay.
And so I did T accounts, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I learned on Lotus, and then we switched over to Excel. So I'm telling my age.
All right. Yeah, but I think that that's important too. What you just said about this was a creative position, and so you were able to be creative. A lot of times, people will think, "Oh, well, this ain't in my job description."
That was, I was just about
You know
to
what?
say.
Don't tell me
But-
about that.
Yeah, I mean, but sometimes the things that aren't in your job description will help you to expand.
Those are the things that help grow you.
Yep.
I mean, and it grows your mindset. I deal now with that's not my job. My job is this. Well, no, your job is being accountable and responsible.
Yes.
Now, I can delegate a lot of things, but the responsibility still falls on me. I still have to delegate work, but if the things don't happen as they should, it falls on me.
Yeah. I think also people that understand that they are their asset, right? So while I'm working in this job, I'm always trying to expand my skills,
Yes,
right? Because I want
yes.
to be able to be competitive in the workforce. So I'm not looking at you saying that's not my job. I'm looking like, how can I expand as a professional? And maybe this task will make me expand. So you got to kind of shift your mindset about that.
And sometimes I feel like you have to fully fill up a space before you can go to the next space.
That's a word.
That's a
You
word.
just breathe.
I know, right? That'd be good.
I this one job I had, the joke was I was the budget analyst for St. Louis Housing Authority.
Okay.
And the going joke with my family and friends was I only worked on Tuesdays. So Tuesday was the day that I drew down the money for our grants.
Okay.
And so on Tuesday, I would be busy from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. I mean, it was just, don't call me on Tuesday. Why are y'all calling me on Tuesday? Y'all know I work on Tuesday. And so it was
my paycheck.
yeah,
on
Tuesday is the day I work.
Right.
But classes kept, I was bored a lot of those other days. So I went downstairs to the accounting department and I learned how to do payroll. I learned how to do, other aspects of accounting because I was bored. And I'm like that little bad kid. If I don't have something to do, I'm just, flipping stuff over. So
But it's interesting because that's you taking control of your career and not what the company has you to do. So on the other days outside of Tuesday, I'm going to go learn some stuff.
yeah, I did some other stuff too now, but
That's all we got to talk about.
yeah. Let's talk about just that. Okay.
So where did that? How long were you in that junior account position?
I was a junior accountant for maybe, 1989. Oh, I'm telling my age. Till 2000. I think that's when I left.
Oh, okay.
No. 1995. That's when I left. When the budget office was taken over by the oversight panel. They had another group come in and redirect how we were doing our work. So I then became payroll accountant, and I went in there not knowing anything about payroll.
Do you think it's because you were sneaking down to payroll or something?
Well, that was at the other time.
Oh, this is when you left.
Yeah, like, I was like, whoop, wait a minute. I don't know nothing about no payroll. And one of the big jobs that I had was they had engineers and custodians, and I had to calculate their differentials. And so I learned how to do the differentials was like when they have a certain hourly rate, but then there was another amount tagged on because of their union experience. And so I had to learn how to calculate those. And then I had to go back because there were some times that they hadn't gotten it. So I had to go back and calculate those years as well.
Yeah,
So-
and people want their money.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I learned about people, it does not matter what their background is. When you mess with their money,
I know that's right.
they'll show you who they are.
They will show you who they are because they want their money.
On
And
time.
usually, right?
And everybody does. I mean, that's why
everybody. That's why you're there.
Yeah.
I think that those are those quiet underground. I won't say underground positions, but those are the positions people usually don't even think about or know you exist until they in a position where they need to figure out that you exist.
Mhm.
Right?
Those are the positions that keep the company rolling
Because
because nobody pays. Yeah, go ahead.
0.001 errors in payroll. That's what you should always have. People shouldn't mess up your money.
So it's funny you say that. One of my friends, she's actually one of y'all fellows too in Chicago. And when I first moved up there, she was working like a $1 million grant, and then they pushed it to $3 million. They was like, you needed an assistant. So she hired me. We went to college together, and this one I knew this wasn't the space for me. Just gonna be honest. That's what I say. Y'all some special people. So first of all, and then she hear this story, she used to be like, find the dollar. I'm like, it's $1. I give it to you right now. All these spreadsheets, all these numbers. She was like, but somebody is charging that dollar and it's on our grant. Get it off. Like it was really real important. And I remember one day she was going on vacation. She was like, when I come back, I need to know how to use a pivot table. I was like, but I don't know how to use a pivot table. She was like, I guess that's what your homework will be. I'm like, oh my God, but finding like $1. She was very serious about that. Like the money is somewhere. Somebody's looking from it. So.
Yeah, you have to be accountable for every dollar, and I believe in reconciling to the penny. And so when it's all
best friends.
Yeah, we probably would be. And then there was this one time I'm looking at this grant and it's off like $30. And I'm like, that's got to be some kind of transposition error because it's divisible by 3. So I'm looking at somewhere. So instead of it being 83, it was 53. And we just put the wrong number in there. And so I was like,
So it gets real
Or
serious.
no,
in
not
that
83, but 38 instead of 80.
83.
Yeah, and I was like, look here now.
Right.
It was
So
all
you
just
relax
a little bit. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was, and it drove me crazy. Because anytime you have something divisible by 3 or 9, and it's a transposition error.
What does transposition mean?
Means you
Oh,
you
you
flip the
flip the
numbers
numbers
around.
around.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I was, folk was flipping, and I was looking, and my nerves got bad.
I know. No.
You know, you have to walk away and then come back.
It's a
Yeah,
CNBC.
yeah.
See, and that's time for me to quit.
See what I'm saying? See, I have told people at my age, I know what I'm good at, and I know where I'm not good at, and what I don't want to learn to be good at.
Yeah.
And I'm not very detailed, but I love detailed people because you need that,
Yeah.
right? What am I
Yeah.
here?
Well, you need that offset of people.
Yeah.
You know, you have the people who are down in it, and then you have the people who are high level.
Mm-hmm.
And when we get together, we can make magic happen. Yeah.
Okay. So you go into this new position and you didn't know any of this, and you got to find people money. Like you said, what do you think that was a space where you grew the most in your career?
I think it was because you know, you have those people who they mean well,
Mm-hmm.
but you messed up, you did this wrong, and those were the times when I was like, I never want to be a manager like this person. And I've had a lot of managers where I've said, I don't want to be like these people. And then when I find myself saying stuff like they would say, like, ooh,
Back up.
slow your roll, back up. Let's talk about this. You know, I don't want to be the person who is always a naysayer, who's always telling you what you did wrong. I might have to tear you down, but I need to build you up first.
Yeah. And I think sometimes we hate when we come across managers like that, but the only way we know not to be like that is we've had experiences where people are like that. It's going to be the hardest parts of
Yeah.
probably your career, but
Yeah.
they are has create you as one.
Even when you have those managers who they applaud you for what you can do, but they get a little envious.
Yeah.
What you do, you know, and you doing too much. You need to know your place. You need to place. Wait, hold on. Black women don't do place. We don't do place.
You don't want to take credit for your work.
Well, now you just struck a nerve.
Yeah, that happened to you and your
Yes, it did. I wrote a proposal and somebody took it. And my boss just happened to be in the room. He was a good man. He just happened to be in the room. He said, that looks like what Adriann did. Older white gentleman, ex-military.
This looks a little off.
But was he being a little shady or what?
He was shady to the person that did it. He was like, that looks like the one Adriann did.
Was that a good supervisor? Because
He was a
I
great
was going to
man.
say that's
Yes,
for
he
you.
was.
Yeah.
And when we had his boss talk a little crazy to him, and I would be like ready to fight him because I took him like he was like a daddy, you know. And it was like, I know he's not talking to this man like this. I want him to just beat him up, but I needed a job. I have habits.
And didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah,
You like to shop.
I have habits.
Yeah.
So
Ridiculous.
when you had a lot of supervisors, managers, that you had some that weren't that great, some obviously like this man that was great. What was your first supervisory role? How did you get into that?
So my first well, I made up one, but I'm not gonna tell you I was one because it's on my resume. But I was just saying
I might as well have been supervisor.
I'm being for real.
The job, right?
Say, oh yeah, she reports to me. So my first real supervisory role, I was a budget analyst for the Science Center. And
Oh,
I loved the Science Center.
Everything always said that's the field
I
trips.
loved the Science Center. Especially, so I was there when the Michael Jordan movie came out.
Yeah.
So I saw it on the Omnimax screen. I was like, look at Michael Jordan. It was just so wonderful. But there was a lady who worked in another department, and she had all of these checks. Some were made out to her, some were made out to the Science Center. And they were all going to different people. It was like, hey, we need to reel that in. We need an AR person who will be able to accounts receivable. We need that person so she can be able to come in and put in all of the checks. She can document all of the checks, and then we can decide where that money goes. And that was my first supervisory role.
Oh, so you agree? Yeah.
Because the checks were going everywhere.
Yeah.
This one lady left, and we went and pulled the drawer open, and it was all these checks. I swear. The world.
Were they doing what they needed to do?
They were just in her drawer. I mean, she hadn't cashed them. It was ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So
So,
created the AR position.
yeah, you need somebody that can,
Yeah, bridge the gap.
And
so we can all have it. It was good. I mean, it was great. It was just homegirls, I didn't even think about myself as a supervisor then, but I knew I had that expertise and I could pull that person together so we could do it, make it happen. And it kept her employed. It kept me employed. I didn't stay there long. That's one of those jobs on the resume that I didn't stay long. But
Sometimes you don't need to stay somewhere long to get what you needed to get.
Right, I know because Julia was saying, and it's very interesting because I think that sometimes people think, oh well, you have to stay at a job 9-10 years and be the person for this company and in order to move here and that. Some people do move like that, but Julia was saying right before he came, she kind of stone her way on up every couple of years, right?
I was looking at your resume and it was like almost consistent with every 2 to 3 years you were going into a new position. And sometimes it's with the same company, and sometimes you weren't afraid to jump to another company. That's what when I was looking at your resume.
Yeah.
And you can't be this may set like when you're at a company, you're loyal to them to do the job that you were hired to, right? But you can't be loyal to a company to the point where you stagnate your career.
Well, our parents did that.
Yes.
They stayed at jobs until, ad nauseum.
They started, yeah.
When my purpose is done, I'm out. I mean, I just, not now, Constance Gulley, not now, parents and teachers. Let me just say that for the record. Not now. I'm in a good space. But I love my job.
You worked your way to that ladder, though.
Yeah.
I saw myself as CFO. Oh, really? And sometimes God takes you and shows you and then brings you back to reality.
Yeah.
And I saw it. And
how
I was
did you
like,
see it? How did that vision come?
I was sitting there one day and I saw Adriann Adams-Gulley, Chief Financial Officer.
Really?
It was like, plain as day. And then I said, you write the vision, you make it plain. And this is what I want, Lord.
Take us on a journey of a few jobs that you feel got you ready for that position.
So definitely School District 189, because I
Okay.
believe if you can work at School District 189, you can work anywhere in the world. I believe that. Yes, God, I believe that. When I left the school district, I went to Bi-State.
Okay.
I stayed at Bi-State 4 years. I should have stayed 5. I could have got invested, but I left in 4. My husband worked there. He's still there.
Okay.
He's been there 31 years.
Oh, wow.
So he stayed. I was like, this ain't for me. I was the grants accountant there.
Okay.
I went then to the Science Center, budget analyst. I left the Science Center, and I don't tell people where I went for 6 weeks, but I had a job for 6 weeks that I don't put on my resume, and I'll tell people about.
So look, okay, you don't have to tell us the place, but tell us why it was just 6 weeks.
There was one computer that everybody had to use to get to the system. Now, everybody had a computer on their desk,
Okay.
but there was only one computer for the accounting software. So everybody had to take turns to go to that one computer.
Right, and that's because a lot of that accounting software is very expensive,
Yeah.
right? So you have to get licenses for
And that-
those.
this was a small business.
Mhm.
And the CFO was, he was mean with his words. And he had kind of dogged the women who worked there. And so when I came along and he, he said some words, so I'm like, oh, no, I don't know what they used to, but I'm not used to
ain't it.
this. I to flip this whole thing.
Right, especially you don't fight for the other man at the job. Now they come to praise you. You're really ready to fight.
Yeah. My story is this. And go across the wall. Right. But it's good to know that you were like, no, I'm not dealing with that. You
Yeah.
know, really
And
quick.
it helped them.
Yeah.
So they found their voices and they were like, oh, yeah, we ain't getting ready to deal with this no more.
Yeah.
And so, I think that was my purpose.
That was your purpose. That's why I say sometimes it don't take long
Mm-mm.
to do what you need to do and go.
Then I went to St. Louis Housing Authority. I was there for 7 years. I had a eclectic group of bosses who were different. Bless their souls, yes. And that last one, so this is funny. I had the blessed oil, and I was slinging it in his office. And his jacket was up there, and I was like, ooh. I had slung it all over. I love his
They
jacket.
probably needed a whole bottle of it.
And it seemed like for a whole week, he couldn't go in that office.
Are you serious?
That in my mind, that's what I say. He couldn't go in that office for a whole week. But it got to the point where it was just, I felt abused.
Yeah. Let's talk about this because I have friends that are climbing ladders and they're getting into very high places where they're now at the top of the food chain. And you hear about this abuse a lot. What is happening in spaces like that? Like, why are people at the top having to deal with just as much as abuse?
I don't think that sometimes we speak up. I think that, our voices are muzzled because we want to say, well, I want to be respectful but my mother always taught me to stand up for myself. So I'm not dealing with it.
Especially when you've gained a lot of experience and what I would call skills, and skill equal wealth.
Yeah.
So if I got this many skills, I don't have to stay in these places
Right.
that are going to be toxic to me.
Right.
I can go.
The Friday before I turned in my resignation at the housing authority, I was written up for something that happened in accounting. It had nothing to do with me. And I just signed it, and because I knew it. My exit was on the horizon. I knew it. So I just signed it, and my boss was like, that's not the reaction I thought I would get.
So he was expecting you to go off. Right?
Because I had flipped it over a lot. So
Wait a minute. So wait a minute. I'm thinking this is a joke. That you said
Oh, no, I
flipping
was-
the table. Are you serious? You were flipping tables in office?
Kid,
Are you serious?
Wait
a minute. One time. Always so nice.
I am, but just like everybody else, you have that one thing that just
Don't do it.
and when you keep doing something to me, I'm coming out of a bag. You got me in the corner. I'm
Coming out.
windmilling. I mean, just
Yeah.
and that one time I push the stuff off the table. I was like, this is some, you know what? Not.
So
So
did you get written up for that?
I
though?
didn't.
So now that's what's so ironic.
Because they knew they were wrong.
I didn't. I did not get written up, and I was so ashamed the next day when I went to work. I was so ashamed.
They were probably afraid to bring you up for that.
Because I was so sure. I was like, oh, I got to go back.
He was waiting for you to do something when you gave you right up.
He was waiting. He just knew I was getting ready to say or do something. And I just signed it. And then that following Monday, I got confirmation from Bank of America that I would be moving in with them.
No.
And I was
Sometimes you know when the fight is, sometimes when you know this ain't no fight anymore.
I'm done. And I remember my boss saying, "Now who am I gonna fight with now? I don't know."
See,
they gonna
They see that some people like toxicity.
They do. I was trying to say, some people love toxicity. They love it. They feed off of it. They were raised on it. They don't know any other energy, so they bring that energy to the workplace.
I think sometimes too, a lot of people bring energy to the workplace because they know they can't do those things at home. So I picked that up along the way. That a lot of people do.
They can't
stuff.
express themselves.
Yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
Because
That go back to hurt people though,
Yeah.
right? They're hurting
Yeah.
and they break it there. I think at some point though, if the people over them, I work in government and I can have this person particularly in my mind, and every time somebody works for her, they leave. Not only do they leave, because a lot of times they stay within government because you can move around with the city when it comes to the same job title with union. They'll take positions where they got to draw the extra hour just so they do not have to deal with her. Like it's a level of toxicity that everybody knows. But at what point does the leadership say, hey, we're going to hold this leader accountable that you keep losing your team?
They don't care. Let me say this. It's interesting that we're talking about this because this makes me think back. And it's kind of funny. Years and years ago, almost another lifetime, I used to work with Children's Division. And it was a lady, she was a manager. She was a supervisor before she had left. Now, people had stories about this one. Now, to the point where they said that sometimes she would go in her office and put a whole nother name on her office. You had to call her this whole nother name. So, right. But they hired this person left.
Girl, wait, let me fix the camera.
This person left. And she came back.
Yeah.
And they hired her as a manager. She was higher than she was.
That's what happened to the same lady.
And so then she was our manager. But here's the thing, everybody talks so bad about this lady. But she just loved me. Well, I thought she loved me. Because she would put, she would give me special important cases involving important people in the city because, important folks have child abuse and neglect calls as well.
Yeah.
So some of those confidential cases she would give to me, and she would always be like, "Okay, Tiffany." So I never had an issue with her until my supervisor later on. This was after I left. He was like, "Yeah, and I had to deal with her all the time because she just could not stand you, a young, pretty girl in the office." And I was like, what? So here's the thing. Sometimes it's good to have, she was just a butthole to everybody, just off GP. But she, I guess, just really didn't like me just because of me. And so then she had to be nice to me, I guess. So people would know that she really had a problem with me.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's interesting.
It is interesting.
Wow.
Yeah, no, this lady over here, she just crazy.
Yeah, I had one of those.
That's crazy.
It was right. Well, obviously she was a little crazy. So
I had this one boss. I gave you a platform and the opportunity to make a little money. Who says that?
really, Did you?
I-
Is that your money?
And it was a
And
constant,
to make a little.
it was always like, I did this for you.
Mhm.
God opened this door for me. He just used you to get me here. So stop.
Stop it. Stop.
Just stop.
Yeah.
But toxic.
So you're at U.S. Bank now.
Bank of America.
Bank of America.
The best job I ever had until now, Constance Gully, until now. The best job I ever had, I went in and I learned about banking and how people have all this money, because I was in the global wealth division.
Oh.
So all these people have all this money that they can just do whatever they want to do. And a lot of them had that philanthropic piece where they would help people. Oh my God. And I would just sit there sometime and just read their stories and be like, I love this person now. I mean,
I'm happy you're saying this, and this is why, because a lot of times the media make us want to believe that people with money are evil in some kind of
not all.
all of them, and makes you now want to shoot for wealth. Because who are you to have wealth? Well, why do you even want it? But a lot of times God needs you to be wealthy to help people.
That's right.
So hearing that you were able to see people with all this wealth, read their stories and see that they are giving back and giving to people.
All I could see was, have you fed the hungry? Have you clothed the naked? Have you visited the sick? Have you visited those in prison? And I could see that in these stories.
And those
The least of these, they took care of. And it was like, I would sit there at work like, oh, wait, I love this person. Oh, wait. Because I had so many clients that I never interacted with them, but I knew their story.
And what they were doing with their money. Yeah.
And I loved that job. Now then, Bank of America bought Countrywide Mortgage instead of Lehman Brothers. I never understood it. But 35,000 people lost their jobs because of the housing market crisis.
Okay.
And I was one of those 35,000.
Oh, wow.
But I had favor because I had severance for like 6 months. So, my habits didn't stop because I was still getting it paycheck. But I was at home, taking care of my home. And then within 3 months of me losing that job, I went to Southern Illinois Healthcare Foundation.
Okay.
Now, it was a major cut in salary.
Yeah. I can imagine.
But I was like, okay, Lord, is this you making me start over? So I went to Southern Illinois Healthcare Foundation. It was a brand new position, budget manager. And what I did was interact more with the medical side, the people who didn't understand, accounting. So I broke it down for them in layman's terms. I created spreadsheets so they could understand how to input their budgets.
Now you're becoming a
Just-
trainer.
Yeah, I mean, just kind of making it easier for them, because everybody doesn't think numbers. Some people think projects and, so I help them to kind of align the projects with the budget to make it easier.
Yeah, you can't have a project without some budget.
Right.
Your project's got to fall in line with a budget.
Right.
So what is your position there?
I was budget manager.
Okay.
And so I was approached with the offer of being the front desk supervisor, and I didn't have any customer service experience as far as I saw it. And I panicked, and I looked for another job. And I found one at Chartwell's.
Okay.
And so Chartwell's had at that time, they had the contract with St. Louis Public Schools. So I went there and I was the controller. And I remember my mama saying, "What?" I miss my mama, yeah. What did the controller do? Launder the baby. I was like,
Launder the
no, that's going to jail when you launder the money, mother. No. But no, she said, but the control, they shouldn't have never gave you that title. Because you think you control.
That's how you got the
Yeah.
controller.
So tell our listeners that. What does the controller do?
So the controller at Chartwell's, I was responsible for accounts payable, accounts receivable. The payroll was outsourced, so that we didn't worry about that, but we still had to turn the information in. Then I helped count all of the lunches to make sure that the budget aligned with the lunches that we were sending out. It was a whole thing. And I had this old school Q dog who was my boss.
Shout
And
out to
he
the
was,
dogs.
shout out to Mr. George Ned. He was the coolest, smoothest, suavest. You did just all of that. He was, and he could talk, and he knew the word, and we could talk about anything. Now, what was funny when we would I'm not gonna tell that on TV, but yeah, we would. He was a good man, a good boss. But he didn't always do what the powers that be wanted him to do.
Okay. That's usually how you be a good
Yeah,
boss.
he had his own, thing. And so they let him go and they brought in somebody else. And I remember the first day I met this woman, she looked at me. I said, "Hi, I'm Adriann Adams-Gulley."
Oh, yeah.
Let me put my resume out.
And I remember I went,
Right. Up and down. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
and I was standing there trying to do work, and the walls were thin between the offices. And I heard her talking about me. This was like day 3.
Oh, wow.
I heard her talking about me to her boss. Yeah, I don't think she's going to work out. We're going to have to get rid
How?
of
It's only
her.
3 days.
Only
I
3
didn't
days.
know.
And
You don't even know your job. How you know mine?
and I don't think it's gonna work out. And I remember leaving there defeated. And I had, defeated me. I felt, and I felt defeat. My feelings were so hurt.
Yeah, because
And
having somebody that don't know who you are on day
They
3,
don't care.
they don't care. They just come in and say, that ain't gonna work out. But I would put pressure on the people that's already been there. Because how are you gonna allow somebody that came in for 3 days?
oh, everybody was scared of her but me. And so after that, I just decided I'll come in when I come in, and I'm leaving at 5:00. I'm not staying late anymore.
What does the new generation say? What do they call it? Silently quitting. When you only clock between 9 to 5.
Quitting.
Only
Yeah.
do what's on your resume.
Uh-huh.
No extra, no nothing. Silent. Like, that's what the new generation is.
I remember doing a report, and she changed my report. She said, "This is wrong. This is wrong." I was like, "Okay, you do it then," because it's not wrong.
It's not.
Because I know,
Right.
I got a little hardy with it. I know this ain't wrong. I didn't add it all. It's like, my dear, I know this. I know this
These
is
numbers
right.
right.
I know this is right. And I remember she submitted the report, and it was wrong. And her boss chewed her. Well, he told her, "Fire that black so and so." Talk about me. Now she's black too.
Oh,
But he told her, "Fire that black," and she came in. She had
Her
to.
was the one that was wrong, but
She
he
had
thought
to
you
tell
did.
him it was wrong, that she did it,
Mm.
and she had to come and apologize to me.
Talk about God putting everything.
And so 2 years, I was with Chartwell's for 2 years. We lost that contract. I was out of work, and I had a non-compete clause, so they would not let me work for the school district, St. Louis Public Schools,
Oh,
because I had this non-compete.
yeah.
They wouldn't let me work for the company that took over. nor would they let me work for the school district.
Oh, wow.
So 9 months, I'm at home.
Mm.
But thank God I had that little nest egg from Bank of America that I could, because I saved more money. And I couldn't believe I was saving some money. 'Cause
That's power though.
Yeah.
And I want our audience to understand that, like, you have to put away something because there are going to
Yeah.
be times in your career where you may have to walk away from
Yeah.
a toxic environment,
Yeah.
right?
yeah.
Or you may get laid off and not know when the next,
Right.
right? So you have to have that next
And I did
egg.
mess with that money. I had that money in the bank, and I was able to take care of, with my husband's income, of course, but we were able to take care of everything. Now, we didn't have all that we needed, all that we wanted,
Right.
but we had everything we needed during that time. And then I remember seeing the job for the budget analyst with St. Louis County. And I went to the interview when the lady it freaked me out because she was writing, looking at me while she was interviewing me. And I was like, oh, it freaked me out. But Paul Kreidler he was my boss. He was a good boss. And he was sitting there and he said he knew within 5 minutes that he was going to call me back. And so I went to work for Paul for a year and a half. And then I got promoted to Director of Financial Services and Information Systems for the Department of Human Services for St. Louis County. And I stayed there for the remainder of till I got vested,
Yeah.
5 years, 11 months.
I was saying you were picking up some titles during that time. too.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, as
Yeah.
the director now, or you over?
I'm over all of accounting and a little bit of IT.
So
Yeah.
tell us about that step from being Adrian, who was over one person, your home girl, we just hanging out, to being Adrian, the director over departments. Like, how did it feel?
I had to learn me.
No,
I had to realize what's important, what's actually needed, what's expected. I had to be humble because I go in here now and I don't know anything.
That's it.
And so I have to be humble and rely on those people who are already in that space. I've been told these stories about these people,
Right.
but I have to, I believe I'm going to listen to a point, but not believe it until you show me who you are yourself. And some of them did show me.
Yeah. Because some of them probably been there for 20 years.
Yeah, some of them showed me. I remember this one young lady, she gave a week's notice. She had a major role with the drawdown of funds. She gave a week's notice and she left. So I remember she said, she gave a resignation. She said, I leave on Friday. I said, no, you leave today. Because she had an accent.
Yeah.
I leave on Friday. No, you leave today. Today is it for you.
Yeah.
Because I just can't trust you now.
Right.
I don't know. And we'll pay you through Friday, but today is it for you.
Yeah, because now we're talking about money and all that right now.
A lot of comes about
And so nobody in our space was able to draw down those funds. So we had to go across departments to somebody in Clayton, and I got to be friends with that person. I think I bought a gift card, and because we need you now, so let's be nice. Let's be nice. We need you.
Yeah, sometimes I find that too, because I work for city and one of my friends works for state. And sometimes people have been enrolled in so long, nobody else knows how to do their job. And we're in trouble when they decide to leave.
Yeah.
They have no continuity.
Well, you lose all of that institutional knowledge. You lose all of those little nuances that they
got the job
included in their job.
Yeah.
So,
But you developed yourself in that role.
yeah,
Because now you're on the road to
I
CFO now,
got
for
to
real,
be
for real.
Olivia Pope.
Mm.
I was
Oh,
a
wow.
fixer,
Mhm.
and I was like, this is my niche right here, you know.
Mhm.
And I had two very good friends who worked there with me. One is deceased now, but two very good friends who we built each other up. And even though some days it was crazy, we would laugh and cry together, but we were able to get our jobs done and fix it.
Yeah.
You know, whatever the issue was, we fixed it.
Yeah.
And that was important to me.
And it was
great.
rewarding.
It was so rewarding, so fulfilling just to see the things, the ideas that we had come to
The
fruition.
The
Yeah.
creation. We're in our most fulfillment when we're able to create and then see that creation
And
manifest.
be passionate about
And
it.
be
I mean,
passionate.
just when you pour yourself into something, like I do Debbie Temple, you know.
Oh, yeah.
No, he I've been on it every time.
Yes.
Yes, when I tell you I love that.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's how I am about my numbers. I
Yeah.
love it. So when you can do things like that, it's great.
Mhm.
I remember I started looking for another job, and my dear friend said to me, "You leaving money on the table. You can't look for no job now." And so I remember putting 730 days, hashtag 730, on my Facebook post, because that's how long it was going to be for me to be vested.
Oh,
And-
yeah.
And I was like, I can deal for
Because you got to be
730
strategic
days.
about that. Because
I
if you
can
put
do
that
it.
time, yeah.
I can do it for 730 days. And then I would, ever so often, I would count down 538. If something was really going on, I'm saying,
you gotta
are you
keep that in your
kidding
mind.
me?
Mhm.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think people need to think about that because one of my shifts was saying she can retire in 5 years from the school district and she will receive like 90% of her pay. Now she's over IT.
Mhm.
So you can figure out what that pay is, right? And she was like, but I'm leaving next year. I'm kind of tired of the position that I'm in and I'm going to go. And I said, wait a minute, Chip. I said, 5 years?
Not that long.
You can't transition to a different position and stay there for 5 years. You're talking about retirement for the rest of your life over 5 years. You can't do a transition. And she said, you know, Tiffany, that's the first time anybody ever said that to me.
Because that's a 90%.
Right.
Don't walk away.
Yeah, you do that type of money for the rest of your life.
No, I'm gonna be here for 5 years.
Yeah.
I put my bootstraps on.
And that's transition. I'm like, you know, and when they say let it roll off like water on the duck's back, I was like, and some days I would leave, I would be in my car, going home, you know, but God.
Yeah.
And he saw that I needed to grow up. Struggle makes you better.
It does.
yeah.
It's the only way that
That's
you
so
can
true.
grow out
Yeah.
the parts of you that aren't supposed to be there.
Mhm.
Everybody has to go through something. He's like, you know, you go back and you look. Every Bible character you know about, they went through something.
None of them,
Your mama went through something.
man.
Your aunt went through something. Your grandmother went through something. Everybody you know went through something to be the person that they are. So this is your time.
This is just
This
your
is
journey
test,
carved
so you
out for
can
you.
have a testimony.
There we go.
So I have a testimony.
We got it.
That's good.
And she
And
has
I-
shared it here at the BBL platform.
Yeah, and I think that is important that people get to know that. Whether you play it little or you play it big, you still gonna struggle.
You gonna
Yeah.
struggle.
So you might as well just go ahead
Put
and
your
play the
big
big
girl.
game.
And you know what? I think that's what helps me with imposter syndrome. Like even interviewing every woman that comes on here and hear your stories, like they've went so far in their careers and they've all struggled. And it's okay that I'm struggling right now. I'm
and people
supposed to
make
be.
you think that
That
you
is not-
are an imposter.
Yeah, that
But the
part too
devil is a liar.
Yeah.
I am who God says that I am.
I'm made in His image. That means I'm a conqueror.
Fearfully and marvelously made, wonderfully made. I can do all things. I am the head and not the
That's
tail.
it.
I mean, you have to have. I think about being Mary Jane, and she had those little post-it
Oh, no,
notes.
That's my whole life. My desk has them everywhere.
you have to-
Yes.
Speak into it. There is power,
In the tone.
and you have to speak those things call those things that be not as though they
Right.
were. I am victorious.
Mhm.
I am a winner. You have to tell yourself those things.
And I tell people all the time, we've encompassed this mountain too long. Let's head northward.
Yeah.
So and that's that's what I'm done with going around this.
I don't want
mountain.
to do it no more.
And I had to do it this last year, So, well, let me go back. So I left. Where did I just leave?
You was at St. Louis over the director.
Yes. So I left there and I went to Parents as Teachers to be
Mhm.
director of accounting.
Okay.
And I've known Constance Gulley for years. Constance is our president and CEO, and she's also our soror
Okay.
in East St. Louis Alumni chapter. But that's not why I got the job.
Yeah.
What people don't know is I interviewed when Constance was at Harris Stowe for a senior accountant years and years and years ago. And she said, "You ain't ready." And I was like, "Oh, I'm going to get yeah, I'm going to get ready." And so when I told her, when I went to this job, I was like, "You don't remember saying that to me?" She was like, "No, I can't believe I said it."
People do me like that too. I'm like, I said that to you. It was the best thing. Oh, God must have
I mean,
been
some-
challenged.
yeah.
I don't think I should have said that.
But it helped me get ready.
Mhm.
And so when I went here, it was like I had this boss who she was so worried about me taking her job that she didn't want me to have access to anything.
Anything.
It took me almost 2 years, better than 2 years, to get access to the bank accounts.
Oh,
And this
wow.
is a
Parents and teachers.
Oh,
Yeah.
really? Oh, my
I mean,
goodness.
she just didn't want me to have that.
She saw your light already. She saw your path, and instead of encouraging her to be one of those leaders, this is when she gets to step up to be a leader and push you forward, even if that means she
but
doesn't go.
she was not a leader.
And your position is director of
At that point, I was director of accounting.
and you don't have access to the bank account. Okay.
Make it make sense.
Right.
And then she
please
gave me a
do.
credit card, and it had $1,000 limit. I said, "What am I doing with this?" And it came out just like, what am I?
As
And I slid it back across the tape. I don't want that.
right.
'Cause I
Because
can't
you're
do the
director of
with
accounting of an
$1,000.
international nonprofit, and you have a credit card with $1,000 limit on it.
I said I can't do nothing with my credit card at home. Got more than I can't do nothing with that.
Right.
And so I suffered through it.
Yeah, and again, we're back to that part where you didn't run though.
No.
And if you would allow her to run, you wouldn't be a CFO. Sometimes people think if God put me in this position, He gave me the vision of being CFO, I shouldn't be having to deal with this. I shouldn't be going through this negativity.
Mhm.
How did you say, no, this is where I'm supposed to be, and overcome that space?
Because I thought about the journey. Everything is not, as my grandma used to say, everything ain't peaches and creams. Life ain't no flowery bed of ease. Those were her,
Even when you're in your journey.
even when you're in it, you have to have the good, the bad, the ugly.
Mhm.
But it all leads you back to where God wants you to be. And He doesn't put you any place where He has not already prepared you or prepared the people for you.
Mhm.
And that's why they acting up.
Mhm.
Because they see it.
They
You know,
see
they
the
know.
fixer is here, and I don't want to
Like
be
the old
fixed.
people say, ain't nothing but the devil.
The fixer, and we don't want to be fixed.
Right.
So how do you go to the next position? How do you
So-
get past her?
So, July 2022,
I was promoted from director of accounting to controller.
Okay.
And so with controller, now I'm over HR.
Oh, okay.
So July 1st, 2022, I get it. That's the day I start. I took off to take care of a good friend that day, but I had my laptop. I opened my email, and the human resources manager submitted her resignation. She didn't want to work for the black girl. So she submitted her
Wow.
resignation. She gave 2 weeks notice. So then I had to. Now I knew HR, but I didn't know.
No HR.
HR.
Yeah.
So I had to get into creating the affirmative action plan, working with potential employees. We created a salary band. I helped do that. I did that. We created a salary band. So I had to do all of that learning for that role.
Yeah.
So
On
from
day one.
July to August to October, July to October, I'm not controlling.
Right. You doing the job.
I'm doing HR.
Right.
And so when I get a HR manager hired, my boss turns in her resignation. All of this stuff that I never had access to, or some that I just got access to, now I got to train my HR manager, and then I got to step into the interim CFO position.
Yeah.
That vision was there that God gave you. Did you say, yeah, this is it. This is I'm about to take that position. I'm about to be CFO.
But
Yeah.
I was like, it's a lot.
This
This,
hear that. Well, much is given, much is required. Yeah.
This is a lot.
Mm-hmm.
This is it ain't easy.
Mm-hmm.
And ego, you have to push aside. You have to learn how to ask for help because, I'm one of, my mom used to say that crazy Virgo. They have to be just so. Yeah, it's
a lot of Virgos with numbers.
Yeah, it has to be just so.
Yep.
And so I had to learn to be flexible. I thought I knew how to do it, but I had to really learn to be flexible, to let people in, to understand that it doesn't always have to be this way. It can be this way too.
It could be definitely. So you've had a very successful career, and you're at this organization, and now you're interim and you step into CFO. What was that day like when that happened for you?
I was so excited. And then it's like the bottom fell out.
How so?
Because it was time for the audit. No, it was time for the budget. And I hadn't done these financials because I hadn't been prepared to do them. And so some of them were wrong. And one of the board members was a little mean about, too many mistakes. She's incompetent. I'm not incompetent. I'm just trying to learn. And y'all didn't do her like that. But she didn't look like me. She looked like, so they didn't do that. And I knew what she was doing. But you go over there and do it.
And just give me 5 minutes. I'll be right back. Because these numbers going to be right.
And so when I messed them up, I fixed it and I owned it. I didn't pay close enough. I was rushing. I did,
accountability. That's what you said you learned back then. You had to have accountability.
Yeah. Every tub sit on its own bottom. That's what my grandma used to tell
That's a
us.
new one. I ain't never heard that one. She got some fun. All right. Don't. Every tub sit on its own bottom.
Every tub sits on its own bottom. You are responsible for you. So
you didn't run this time either.
No,
So I laid in my bed one day, and I think I prayed in tongue. I don't know. I was like, Lord, look, I don't know that this is it. You got I don't. And he showed me, you got this.
You got this.
So does the vice president position come with the CFO position?
Yeah, because
Okay.
I was just thinking I was just gonna be the
CFO, right?
Okay.
Vice
Do
president,
the numbers. But now I'm,
part of the vision of the
I'm
organization,
part of
right?
the C-suite, and
Yeah.
I was like, ooh,
Right.
Exactly.
Amazing.
my mama would be so proud.
Wow.
I mean, thank you.
So
I
if
give it to
someone's
God.
sitting there and they're probably in the different parts of their career, and they want that CFO position, vice president, what would be 3 to 4 tips you would give them on their journey?
Be humble. Take the hit. Because it's coming.
It's cool.
They are coming for you.
You can't be
Know it.
Know it.
They are coming for you because they don't see you as valuable. So you have to see yourself as valuable. I am somebody. You have to, because they coming.
They come.
And
It's a guarantee. They waiting at the door.
they're coming, and they always, well, she doesn't. I had one lady tell me, your numbers are wrong. Now, she's not an accountant. She no longer works for the organization. She's not an accountant. Your numbers are wrong. I said, and what department do you work in? And she said, what department do you work in? And she said, I play an accountant on TV. And it came out before I thought about it. And Constance just did like this. And I said, well, you need to cancel that show because your ratings are bad. And Constance just, I was like, oh, I'm so sorry. It came out.
But don't come for me.
But don't.
What they all coming for you, but be
I
ready.
didn't send for you. Don't come.
for me.
Be ye ready. That's something else I would tell you. Be ye ready. Because they coming.
Give us one more. So we got be humble.
Take the
Prepare
hit.
yourself for the people.
Take the hit because it's coming.
Okay.
They coming for you. Be prepared. And when you get into a role, don't try to change things immediately.
I love
Okay.
Find out every aspect of that role before you go in just changing things. Understand your why and the why. So don't just go in changing stuff. What is your why? What is your passion? Why are you doing things? But then, why is this set up this way? And if you can find a better way, find a better
Right.
way. But give it some time.
Yeah.
Understand
what's
all of the processes first before you just go in trying to shake it up.
Good. I love those tips.
Yeah,
Well,
that's
Adriann
crazy.
Adams-Gulley, you are
This is good
truly a
fun.
Black boss lady.
Oh, thank
And
you.
your legacy will forever live on the
Thank
BBL
you.
platform.
All right.
Thank you.
Yay.
All right.
Woo, this is a really good interview. I didn't know I was going to go to church, honey.
Thank you for joining us on the BBL Platform Podcast, the place where legacies live. We hope you will join us on our next inspirational journey to success. Be sure to rate, like, and subscribe to our show. For more information, please visit our website at thebbleplatform.com.